Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay. Sometimes you get lucky. Okay. I was at a thing with my wife that we were driving by, and she happened to look up and spot this. And it was a garage sale. And what it was a estate sale where they were clearing out a place. And my wife saw some, bird houses and stuff like that. We're looking around there, and then I happened to spot something. A pair of Coleman stoves, $5 each. Yeah, Blackie was on that like a chicken on a June bug. And that little sticker says $5. That's what she wanted for. Now these two are complete. They're kind of rough looking. They got all their components to it. But they need a good cleanup, because like a lot of things, it's been stored out probably in a shed or something, and they're dirty. They got all kinds of stuff on it. And there's two sizes. This is the standard size 2-burner stove like we used to see. And I'm sure I'll find a size on here in a minute. And also, they had a 2-burner of the big camp stove, which is larger. And there's some information on here. I'll give you a size when I get down there to it. And we're going to deal with this one another day. But the difference is how wide apart the top is, so you can put a bigger pot or a bigger fry pan. It's the same basic burner idea. It's just bigger and further apart, so you can put bigger stock pots. And if you were cooking for, say, a big Boy Scout troop or something, the bigger might be a better choice. We'll deal with cleaning this one up another day. So, what we're going to do is we're going to restore this. We're going to see what we've got. Now, this is something that you could yourself encounter, and it's very common for people that did camping or had survival sets, or down here in the South you had stuff prepared for hurricanes where Coleman stoves were one of the preferred choices. You don't use these stoves indoors, but it was a great thing to have, so you get out on the deck, tailgate of a truck, whatever, out on the table outside and be able to cook when you had absolutely no power. Or to take camping to do big fish fries and things like that. So you'll see a lot of these stoves in the used market. So let's go through this step by step. I had to clean one up, and what to look for when you go to see if you've got a good one or not, or what you need to replace. So let's talk about how to clean one up first. 2, let's how to safety check it and see how it's going to work. 3rd, we're going to see if we can fire this thing up today. So let's get started. First, we're going to get a pretty good size tub. I'm going to use this outdoor tub, and I'm going to be using Simple Green Cleaner. You find this in the automotive section. Usually they do a good job for this type thing. After that tub is cleared out, I'm going to use a little light scruffy pad, just something to knock the surface stuff off of it. So we're going to start by putting a pretty good dose like that. Simple Green, because this is concentrated directly in it. And then we're going to put maybe 3 inches of water inside this tub. Okay, now I got my soapy solution. I'm going to take my stove, I'm going to remove my $5 sticker off of it. Just like that. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to lift up and lift out the actual tank. Now, there's a cutout here in the front that the notch that this long piece goes through. I'm going to set this to the side. See, we got dirt dauber clods in it. Now we're going to, this one is actually anchored. Some of these come off as far as the grate, but this one has got the hooks right here that keep it in place. Now you can take your thumb and bear out. I might be able to get out, but this one I think is too stiff to do it, and I don't want to bend them pieces. So I'm just going to leave it attached. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it upside down over here and dump out this dirt first off. Okay. Now I'm going to stand it up, put it in just like that. I do not want to submerge the burners. I don't want them in it. But I do want to be able to get in here with a scruffy and start cleaning this up. That dirt dauber nest right there, get rid of it. Take the stainless steel grate, start by scrubbing it real good. Take your time, we're in no rush. Re-dip every so often. Keep your thing nice and wet, your scrubby pad. I find these are really good for these. So you find them in the section where you get dishwashing, cleaning stuff, and etc. For doing dishes in the house. I'm going to sit and I'm going to do the body of it. Get rid of that dirt dauber nest right there. And this is a type of paint that's basically baked on, so it's really tough and usually gives really good service over the life of the stove itself. Tip it a little. And we'll take and open up that inner one out of the way like that. Give the inside a good clean up. Now if you see something like that where you've got a kind of a stronger buildup, give it a little spurt or two of direct. Let it soak for just a second. Now I'm seeing a lot of soot on it. That tells me somebody ran it probably with straight gasoline in it instead of Coleman fuel. Now, the fuel that is used in Coleman stoves is called white gas. In English, all that is gasoline that has not had all the additives added to it that you would get in white gas. So white gas is just gasoline without all the additives. But if you run straight gasoline, it can clog up the burner. Because what happens is that fine jet on that stove, the gas tank and all, which I'll get to in a minute, anchors up, plugs up right now. Inside, got a bit of rust in here, not bad. Knock all the surface stuff free. Like I said, clean around the actual jets, but do not submerge them. Okay. Now if you did make a mistake and it got submerged, just let it dry out. Put it out in the sun, give it some time and let it dry out. You see this burner, I don't know if you can tell that, is darker than this one. That's typical because this burner doesn't get used near as much as that one. That also gives you the advantage on some of these stoves. When this burner over here starts to kind of get plugged up, you can swap burner elements with this one and have the stack to there to clean that one out, because these are unscrewable and you can clean them up if they become carboned up or something. You can do that. Alright, now give it a good once over. I've got all the surface stuff taking care of that. I'm going to close this back up. Like that. Now we're going to do the surface. Now, on these stoves, you have a turner on this end. That is to regulate this burner. You unscrew this, let the gas come to it. So that's what this funny little flapper is. A lot of people don't know that. tell from the surface of this is something that probably was used a few times and then was just left in the garage or something, or out in the shed where the lawnmower goes, or the barn. The fact that this top surface right here where the handle is has the most crud on it tells me that was probably the side that was standing up. And I'm seeing motor oil like stuff on it. Probably it was below a shelf or something, like a chainsaw or something's going to drip. Is that, again, you see this a lot in this storage. And I'm going to hit that with a little concentrated right there. And let that work for just a second. That water's almost black now. Yeah, it's coming off better now. Now, if it really perturbed me bad, I could take like engine degreaser or something and get rid of this right here. Pick it up, let it drain out, and like that. Just a little bit of rust, not bad. Now right here, stamped into the metal, is going to be the information on the stove, what model it is, and etc. When I get done cleaning this up, I'll put my glasses on and take a look at that. This stuff's starting to come off now. This dried and hardened stuff. Rust a little bit, but not bad. Alright, now drain that out, turn it around, put this end downhill, wash it up good. Alright, now set this aside and let it drain a few minutes. Now, the tank. Tank's got fuel in it. Common. Look at all them dirt dauber nests along there. Let me knock that off right quick. Okay. Tells me there's fuel in it. That tells me two things. One, that it probably is still sealed up fairly good, because if it hadn't, that gas would have evaporated. We're going to clean the tank. Now we don't want to submerge it because of this pump. Okay, and I'll get to that in a little bit when we work on the pump. This is called the generator, the tube right here. And this is the actual connections. This is a little lever that goes to a valve internally that allows you a needle to clean it. So, I'm just going to scrub it up. Get rid of all this crud that we can on it. Not glamorous, but it is time consuming, but at the same time it pays you in the long run, because we don't want to get this crud inside this tank and plug it up when we go to try to cook with it. Now, as a boy growing up, I saw these things everywhere. Some of them were real antiques and still working, and that's a distinct advantage to them, is they last forever, it seems like. And you will find lots of these like this in garage sales, estate sales, eBay, or whatever. The good news is parts are always available. You can always find a way to make it work or get the replacement part that you need. I've seen these tanks squished completely flat. and someone simply just ordered a new tank and put on it. I've seen, you know, these things get completely fouled up, where this gets bent badly or something. It can be replaced. It is designed to be used in the field. Now, it is common for there to be a little bit of rust right here, because this is what goes into the actual flame to be the evaporator. Now, what's going to happen is this. You put Coleman fuel in here. You then close this cap up, and you should use one of the little funnels that's got the fine mesh in it to make sure you ain't going to get no rust or any kind of sand or crud into it. Okay, you should then turn this little valve right here around several times to clean that needle in there. Then you turn this open. Okay, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Let the pressure go. Now this is your pump right here, and the pump is an open chamber underneath this, and it says oil. There's a hole right there. Okay, now what you're supposed to do is, there's also a ring right here. See it? You pull that ring out and the pump comes out. We're going to clean that chamber with a shotgun brush and re-oil it and re-oil that seal. A lot of people don't realize you got to oil it because there's a flexible seal in there. We'll talk about that when I take that apart in a few minutes. Okay, I think we've got the bulk of it done now, and we are ready to dry it off and go to the next step. Okay, now take me some good paper towel, and I'm going to start drying everything off. Now, don't be upset if it's not perfectly clean. I'm not worried about making it a showroom quality right now. Right now we're testing to see is what we've got. You know, I know little or nothing about this other than what you've just seen. I bought it for $5. All the parts appear to be there. I do not know if it works. And so I need to do a little job of refurbishing, a little job of testing to see what I really got. In fact, I got so much of it, tells me I've got something I can repair, if nothing else. Okay? Now, I'm going to get a cleaning rod, and we're going to take the pump apart right quick and show you how that works right quick. Okay, now we're going to take apart the pump. I'm going to take my Swiss Army knife, screwdriver. I'm going to grab that little wire bail. I'm going to lift it out on one side, just like that. That clip comes right out. Put it where you ain't going to lose it. Now pull the whole pump out. Okay, now here's what you got. It's a little rubber cup that is a seal with a plunger, a spring, and something from it. Now what this does is, and yeah, this needs some lube. This should be kept lubricated because this is a little parachute. What it does is, inside that chamber, it comes up, and when it comes up, the air flows over the top of it. When you go to push it, it's like an umbrella opening up, and that squeezes there to the bottom. At the bottom of that tube, there's a fine little valve, and that valve lets air pass into the tank and pressurize the tank. It only goes one way. So we're going to give a little spurts in there. We're going to take our, too big. We're going to take our cleaning rod right quick. I'm going to take a patch, and I'm going to start it in that corner right there. Wrap it around like that. I'm going to go down the side of this. I'm going to gently roll around a few times to make sure I spread that oil all over that surface. Okay, just like that. Now give this cup a little spurts directly. It's got oil on it. And a little bit on this outside as well. This is how we build pressure. A lot of times you get these stoves and they go, oh, it won't pump up anymore. It means this cup is not grabbing air. That rubber seal is gone. Now wiggle it in there. Don't just shove it in. So it gets back into the chamber. Okay. Come on, go on in. You know, take the fingernail, whatever. Just make sure you don't shove it. You don't want to crank it. It's got to be a tight fit. There, it went in. Now you line your cup back up. Take that seal and line up those holes. You come from the far side. Take your screwdriver, whatever. Pick it up on this side, open it out, and put it back in that hole. Just like that. Now, to open it, you go to the left. Making sure that the tank is now closed. I want to pump it up. And 60. Go all the way down and screw the thing down. Now that's 60 pumps. Now I want to take a little bit of oil and right here where it joins the tank, I want to just wet it all the way around. I want to see if it's leaking, if it's blowing bubbles. Right there. You can do this with soapy water as well. Okay, that looks good. Now where directly above it, right here where it screws in the tank, put a little bit of oil. Go all the way around, see if it's blowing bubbles out anywhere. No, looks good. Now, we're going to turn this around a couple times. Put a drop right there where it joins the thing. Make sure it's not blowing out around that. Just a little bit of oil. See if it's blowing bubbles. It is not. How about the threads right there where it joins the tank? It is not. Okay, that sounds good. That tells me that this tank is holding the pressure. Now, I want to put a rag out here on the end. And I'm going to open it up. I hear gas hissing. And I see fuel wetting the paper towel right there. That tells me that it is misting and it is blowing it out there. Lighting lever must be turned up, straight up to light. After 1 minute, down to cook. So that is your cleaner. So notice that. Read your instructions. Lighting lever must be straight up to light it, and then after 1 minute, turn it down. Think of it like a little regulator. All right, I'm going to pick another dry place right here. I'm going to put there in front of it, and I'm going to open it again. Turn it closed. Smells like gas, and I got a wet spot. Okay. Now I'll set this aside for a minute. I'll bring the main body up here. I got the main body up here. Wipe it off real good. Where I drained out all that water. Lay that back there and take your rag. Wipe it down. And notice that lid will come off like it did right then. You can take these lids off, or you're supposed to be able to. But dry it off a little. Open up that wing. Dry off this side. Okay, now, opening that up. Get any extra moisture out in here there, you know. After I washed it, it's still got some dampness, but that's okay. I did not get the jet bowl right here wet, so that's good. Now, here in the top of the burner, there's a large screw, brass screw. See if it unlocks. That one did. Unscrew it. Now, taking the screw out, Set that to the side. There's a stack. And all this is little bitty washers that are rippled on the edge to produce an air vent area. Take that loose. Alright, my inner chamber is nice and clear. My main, this is a generator. This is where the gas blows into to become what comes there. It seems to be okay. Alright, set that back down onto it. And it does have a way it sits there now. Make sure you get it in the right place. Drop the heat shield on top. Making sure that's all good right there, and it is. We're going to drop it back down in place. Tighten it back up. If you've got one you have not explored before, you do this. And make it good and snug. You want to do this, make sure there ain't a dirt dauber nest underneath it or whatever. Same thing with this one. Over here to the left. Screw. Looks good. The side turn over here for opening this one does turn, does open up. It lets it out. Okay, that looks good. Put the diffuser up back down onto it. Tighten it back up. Now, let's talk about how this works. The tank has two tabs on it. They go into two slots, and there's a big oval notch right here in the front. That's where this part goes through. It's going to then bullseye into this component right there. Go into that opening. Wiggle it in and line it up. Make sure your handle is out of the way so not to be a problem that's going to interfere with you sitting in there. Alright, now that's sitting in there like it's supposed to. This shaft goes inside of this device here. Now what's going to happen is pressurized fuel is coming across. It goes through the flame of this burner. This vaporizes it and boils it to guarantee that it's at the right pressure. It then goes into this catch chamber, which circles back around and blows up into this, where it goes through this waffle pattern and comes out and forms the flames. This pipe carries it to this one, so when you unscrew this one, you can ignite this one. You want this one burning before you ignite that one, okay? The gate goes up and down for your grill to sit onto it. And then you have these little wire steps. On the side, there's a slot that they sit into kind of gently. You squeeze the spring down and put it in. This is your wind break to keep wind from blowing heat off of your food. So if you've got a pot up here or whatever cooking, that wind will blow the flame away and keep it from burning like it's supposed to. So this is a wind break. It's adjustable where you can close it up and scoop this thing in more to block off more wind if you got to. Okay? Or you can leave it set out at the farthest edge. Just depends on the conditions. Okay? Now, we're almost ready to do a test thing. Now, looking up here at the instructions for this model, and this model is, this is a model 425F. It was made in Wichita, Kansas, USA, Coleman Stove Company. Okay. Close fuel valve firmly. Closed. Open pump. Turn one turn, punch thumb over the center hole. A pump 35 full strokes. Close the pump. We went to 60. So we're going to let the pressure off of this tank and follow their startup direction so it's not over pressurized. How do you let the pressure off? Pick up the tank. Turn it up at this angle where this is straight up. Gently loosen it. Let it hiss the gas off. Don't try to catch it or whatever. Don't do this near somebody smoking or whatever. Just let it hiss a second and it'll let that pressure off. Now while we're doing this, I'm going to take that cap off. I'm going to look at the seal on the inside, which is no reseal. Mine is in good shape. You want to check this. Screw it back down. And we're going to put it back in the stove. Lining it up on the inside, setting it in. Okay, so it said turn this one complete turn left, put your thumb over it, and do 35 full strokes. Close pump. 1. Now, turn it back to the left. Okay. Close pump. Turn lighting lever straight up. Hold light match at edge of burner, then quickly open valve at least 2 full turns. Wait 1 full minute, then turn lighting lever down. Pump additional air into a tank and adjust flame to desired heat. To light auxiliary burner, hold match near burner, open auxiliary valve and stove. To turn off, close auxiliary valve and fuel valve firmly. Flame will linger on burner for a few minutes after fuel valve is closed. Use replacement generator of da-da-da-da. So we're all set. Now, we're not going to attempt to light this on the back of this truck. That would be foolish. We're going to set it out on the end of a driveway away from everything else, so if there was something unexpected, catastrophic happened, we have a fire extinguisher close by, we have a water hose close by, and we'll let it, if it suddenly caught on fire, we're going to hose it down to try to put the fire out. Now, water on gas just splatters the gas, so I have a fire extinguisher close hand to dampen it down that's rated for that. But let me set it up and we'll try to light this puppy. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ignite a match. I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to lay it directly on the burner. Then I'm going to open it up. That way I can get fully away from it in time. Open it up. And we have ignition. Now, let it go for 1 minute. See how it's going to flare up a little bit? That's probably bad gas, but we'll see. See, and it turns to blue flame. Now, once we got the flame like we want, we adjust. If it starts to die down, we can add more fuel or add more pressure. Now, let's see how if the second one will also ignite. And it does. So it's ignited. Now I'm going to add about 10 strokes. Close it up. Got about a minute. Now turn that valve all the way down. And I would adjust my flame down to what I want. Go up or come down. And that flare up is that match burning on that one. I can turn it up. I'm going to turn it all the way off. Get snug. There we go. Turn it all the way off. It takes it a minute to burn up all the fuel, so don't be in a hurry. You'll see low little flames there for up to a minute or so sometimes. It may even go pop at the end. That's fine. Let it go. It's good and snug off. It's there off. Now let's see how it does. I'm still seeing just a touch. Now what's happening is that vaporized fuel goes into that reservoir back there, that metal tube that comes into here, and it's got to burn off all that gas that's in there, that vapor, that heat. So give it a minute to do it. So my $5 investment paid off on that. Okay, I have a usable Coleman stove. I already had one, to be honest with you. I have an old military issue Coleman lantern, and I have an old from the late 1980s. I have a Coleman 2-burner stove like that I've used and is in my set for hurricanes. But when I saw this for $5, I couldn't pass it up. And that bigger one for $5, absolutely. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means I now have one that can be in my home emergency kit. It will stay cleaned up, ready to go, fueled up. I'll put a piece of masking tape onto the tank, and I will label when I filled it up, so I know how long it's been. That's going to be my hurricane stove. My wife has been trained in how to work this stove, and we have one that's propane powered. That is her stove when we would go camping. She likes to turn the match, hit the thing, poof, it's going. She don't have to worry about pouring fuel or nothing, and that's fine. So we've got multiple uses there. Can this stove use raw gasoline right out of a car? Yes. It's going to clog it up eventually, but yes. So in an emergency, I could do that where we were having power out. Like you just saw in New Orleans, where they're telling some people that it will be the 29th of this month. 4 weeks before they can have power back in certain areas. This would be an invaluable source to have to be able to cook and eat, especially when I got to take what's in that freezer that's going to go bad and I got to cook it somehow. One of these stoves is very, very useful. But now I got a stove I can put into Blackie's rendezvous set. So when I'm going out for just me, and I'm going to go truck camping. We're about to do that here pretty soon. I'm going to take you truck camping with me. That isn't something I do a lot, but we're going to do it because several people have asked about it, and I am getting up a few years in age, so the convenience of being able to just drive my old truck out there, and I got a camper shell and have a cot in, and we'll show you how to vehicle camp, the tips and tricks. And one of these old Coleman stoves in the back of that is just a no-brainer. You pull it out, sit it on a stump, fire it up, cook y'all meals, you have your fire for enjoyment, and you got your food ready whenever you want it. These stoves are well worth it, and if you can find one at a garage sale for cheap, pick it up. Look at it. Do like I showed you. Go through testing, leakages, etc. Now, what would happen if that didn't work? Okay? If I had put soapy water or oil around the seal and it bubbled up, okay? Somebody may have taken this apart and didn't put it back together correctly. I would have stopped everything, poured the fuel out of it, and I would have opened it up, aired it out, filled it full of water, aired it out so there's no chance of anything, and I would have unscrewed and took the tank apart. Every one of those components designed to unscrew. I would look and educate myself how to properly seal it up with thread tape or whatever. There is a method to this madness, and it's available on YouTube. Just look and it'll show you. I'd screw it all back together, check again all my connections. I'd have pumped it up with air in it this time, and I'd put soapy water and see if I had any bubbles. No leaks? Good. We go to the next step. When I turned it on to the paper towel to see if it was blowing fuel onto that paper towel. Had it not done that, they would tell me that the regulator, that generator might be clogged up. Those are replaceable and available on eBay or Amazon. I'd have got it and replaced it. Simple. The burners, if the burners had been just, oh man, this thing's, they're designed to be unscrewed and cleaned out. Okay? Every part of that stove can be taken apart and cleaned out by you. It was designed, the earliest form of this was in the 20s and 30s. It would not have served with as many people as it had for almost a century now if it wasn't a good solid piece of gear that could be repaired in the field. And so that's one of the reasons every kit needs a Coleman stove in it. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. And do me a favor and hit that like, share, and subscribe button before you go. I'd really appreciate it. Leave any of your questions or comments below, and I'll have more videos coming. Till next time, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.